Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. I think I say this rhyme every single year. See, for me, Guy Fawkes is a story that resonates very deeply. Now, I'm not particularly religious, and even when I was Buddhist, so it's not really a religion based around a deity. But it's not the fact that Guy Fawkes fought for his religion, it's the fact that he fought against a king and a parliament who said, you cannot do this thing because we say so. He fought against people who forgot their place in every single way. And while his actual plan failed, Parliament was not destroyed in 1605, what he actually wanted from it, freedom, he got. I tell this story because it's about time we looked at our politicians. It's about time we looked at our elected representatives. Now, I don't personally care if you're left wing, right wing, somewhere in the middle, or you don't think you can describe yourself as anything because it's all a load of bollocks. The point is, we have a very real problem in this country. You look at the elected representatives that we have so far, and I'm going to pick on Natalie Elphrick because she is the MP from my neck of the woods, Dover and Deal. In her first vote, she voted to strip people of this country of their human rights when we leave the European Union good and proper. That should have been a massive red flag to everyone. Very recently, she voted to stand by and do absolutely nothing as children go hungry this Christmas. And as a slight little segue, this is one of the hoodies that if you buy it, all money is going to help children this Christmas. But then you have other politicians. You have the Matt Hancocks, who have been in office for a number of years now and has consistently found ways of diverting money from the NHS into private companies that do not do as good a job as the NHS could and should be allowed to do. And it's not like Hancock is on his own in this one. Before that, Jeremy Hunt was doing the exact same thing. Of course, then we can take a look at our illustrious Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, or Alexander Boris Johnson. A man who is so allergic to work, he's had at least 6 holidays this year, and the first was when we had our first crisis in the country, which wasn't actually anything to do with the pandemic, because again, the Conservatives have spent 10 years ignoring parts of the country that flood. And at the start of the year, when parts of the country flooded, as they do every year, he decided he was going to go on holiday instead of do his job. Then, of course, we have his actions with the pandemic. It would have been made 100 times better if he had just listened to the medical advisors, but this is not something Boris Johnson does. Sure, he's listening to his advisor, Mr. Dominic Cummings, a man whose only qualification that I know of is in Norman history, and he's a bit of a spanner himself, as it's he who has been pushing this herd immunity crap, clearly not understanding what herd immunity is. A few months ago, a colleague of mine said something that stuck in the side. He said that Boris Johnson is effectively our boss. Now, this is not true, and it has annoyed me every single day since, and it's very simple. Because he's not our boss, he works for us, because he takes our money and lives in a state house. This is a man who is meant to serve us, And again, going back to the point of an elected representative, something that I've said in a previous video, we elect certain people to go into politics because the bread maker, the firefighter, the police officer, the care worker, the nurses, the doctors, we don't have time to go through countless political pages of nonsensical BS to make sure that we're getting the best possible outcome for the areas that we live in. So we entrust this role, this very important role, to an elected representative. Again, in my case, that would be Natalie Elfrich, who voted to allow children to starve this Christmas, who voted to break international law and support the government, effectively destroying the United Kingdom's credibility and dismembering the UK itself, who voted to dismantle the NHS, who voted to strip workers of workers' rights and human beings in this country of human rights, as well as a ton of other equally abhorrent stuff. And she is not alone in these actions. Most Conservatives did the exact same thing. But before this current administration, you had Theresa May who just ignored poverty as a thing, reminding me of a Babylon 5 episode. Yes, I'm that kind of nerd, where Captain John Sheridan is speaking with someone from Earth, and she is describing how homelessness has just gone away. Sheridan's response is, "How did you do this?" And of course, the representative from Earth's response was, "We rewrote the dictionary." A man died on the steps of Parliament, and MPs refused to acknowledge that homelessness is a problem, even after the United Nations report into this. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. When you have elected representatives who do not care to represent you, you do not have representatives. That unfortunately is the state that we are in now. Whether you call yourself a conservative or a Labour supporter or a lefty or a socialist or a green or whatever it is, look at your actual member of parliament. Then look at their actual voting records. I'll leave a link down below underneath towering.tmro.com where you can actually check the voting record of your member of parliament. It's about time we had elected representatives who work for us. Remember the 5th of November. Take care, and I'll see you next time.